Greetings dear viewer and welcome back to another installment of my little album haul video series. If you're wondering why I'm combining 2 months into one video, it's not the same as last time. That was more because of the quarantine lockdown. That's why I had April and May in one video. This time it was more because June was a pretty quiet month. Although the quantity was low, the quality was through the roof. Now, as always, I'm in desperate need of a haircut, and as always I haven't got the best lighting and sound. In fact, the one free day I had to record is the one day we've got gross rain clouds as far as the eye can see, but you're not here to hear me talk about weather. We're here to talk about music and albums and all that good stuff. Also, I'm wearing one of my new band tees from the UK. I don't know how, but they found me. They're a fantastic band. I can't wait for their debut album. Without further ado, let's get on with the June album haul. Now, in the month of June, there were no new release albums I wanted to get, and there was only one CD I did manage to pick up, which is circling right back to the start of the year. Healer by Group Love. Yep, I mentioned this album way back when I first started this little series because Dirvinator, which is the first single and the first track on this album, is one of my tracks of the year. I love it to bits. I haven't listened to this album all the way through. I know I'm guilty of that. I've listened to the majority of it just kind of in the background. I just haven't found the time to sit down and listen to the whole thing yet, but it's one of those things where once all the stock is gone in New Zealand, I mean, you're not going to be able to get it anymore. Same with the other album I picked up earlier in the year by Group Love. What is it called? Big Mess. Like, they're just not that popular in this country, unfortunately, so once all the CDs are gone, you know, they're pretty much gone for good. And I'm not a fan of paying upwards of $35 to import a CD from overseas, so I picked this one up and I'll find time to listen to it in its entirety one day, although from what I've heard so far, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm not a Group Love diehard fan. I don't know what to compare it to. I've only heard their other one album and of course their big hit Tongue Tied, but Townsend likes them, so I'm looking forward to listening to that one. And that's it for the albums of June, yeah. But as for the music highlights, wow, there are some good ones. First things first, The Killers released My Own Soul's Warning. Now, I've mentioned several times I'm really looking to Imploding the Mirage. Caution came out. I was a bit cautious of that song to start with. I'm like, do I like it? Do I not? I've come to love it. I love that song. Fire and Bone, or Fire and Bone, whatever the song's called. It's really funky. It's got a cool beat to it, but it's just kind of filler track to me. I don't really feel it warrants being a single. Maybe it's not a single and it's just one that they released, tied people over, but I don't know, I just don't love it. Along Comes My Own Soul's Warning. This is one of the greatest Killers tracks. I believe that 10 years from now, we'll be looking back at all the hits like Mr. Brightside, Mr. Atomic Bomb, all the big ones. My Own Soul's Warning will be one that stands out above the rest because it is incredible. The chorus, the verses, the music, the cool synthesizers and the heavy guitar strums. I love it. I love the song. I could talk about it for ages, but I would just be saying I love it, I love it, I love it over and over again. My Own Soul's Warning by The Killers is amazing. They finally have a definitive release date for Imploding the Mirage, and I cannot wait. I wanted to get that one out of the way first because otherwise I'd just spend too long talking about it. The first single that was actually released right at the start of June is Navy. The New Zealand artist released her new track, Pieces, and what a bop. Just, what a bop. Already got heaps of people dancing on TikTok and there's already a really popular remix of it. I prefer the original over the remix, but that's just me. It's such a cool song. I love how pretty much every month this year, one of my favourite New Zealand artists is just cranking out song after song, like hit after hit, and I'm really enjoying every single one of them. There's no duds. It's like, yes, yes, New Zealand has good musicians too. So yeah, Pieces by Navy. I really enjoy that track and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for this artist. For what it's worth, Younger Hunger released Elmer and I enjoy that track too. There's not really much I can say about it other than, yeah, I enjoy it. Now here's the big exciting one that I've been wanting to share for a while, and I think I hinted at it last time as well. So the New Zealand band Holloway Holiday, who I've mentioned several times, released a music video, and the music video happens to contain their fans, basically. They did an awesome thing similar to what Blink-182 did during lockdown, where they said, hey, send in your videos of you singing along to our song and we'll make a music video out of it. And that's exactly what they did. And I finally got to fulfill my dream of being in a music video. So I am actually in Holloway Holiday's new music video. The Hot Pink Paralysis video is up now on YouTube, sitting at a cool 525 views. So go on, give it a watch. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Holloway Holiday for inviting me to be a part of this. It was an incredible experience, and I'm just grinning from ear to ear when it went live, and they did like an hour-long live stream afterwards, breaking it down, talking about all the submissions, and it made me very, very happy. I missed out on a music video opportunity for my favourite New Zealand band a while ago, who are now unfortunately no longer active, but this was like a huge thing for me. I've always wanted to be in a music video, just the memories and looking back on it I think it'd be so cool. Even if it's just like a crowd shot, so you can point yourself out and be like, there I am, like when 21 Pilots made the video for The Hype, and there were a bunch of people on like the Facebook group saying, I was in the video, there I am, you can see my arm. But in my case, you can see my face, which is even scarier. Anyway, that does it for June, so transitioning on to July. Here we go, moving on to July. I got a different shirt on this time, Blink-182. I'm also joined by my friend Travis there, just chilling. Now, quick story time. I could have actually gotten these next 2 albums in June, but my partner and I were in Wellington for the night on the very last day of June, and I wouldn't have actually been able to get the CDs until the 1st of July, so it technically wouldn't have been June, but I don't know, I just decided, screw it, I'll just make a 2 months in one thing, just in case I get any more albums, which I did end up getting. Now, second story time, in 2019, I stumbled across a track called Teeth by 5 Seconds of Summer on YouTube, and I absolutely loved it. I could not get enough of this song. It was like a promotional track for, what was that terrible Netflix show? 13 Reasons Why? Actually, I take that back. I haven't seen the show myself, so I can't judge. I've just heard less than stellar things about it, but that's neither here nor there. Now, I used to avoid 5 Seconds of Summer because either their music didn't appeal to me or it annoyed me getting played over and over again on the radios, plus I'd heard they were less than stellar to their fans, but again, neither here nor there. But I loved the song so much that I actually went out and bought their album, Youngblood, because I just assumed it was on this one, and then I got home, put it in, and like an idiot, I didn't even bother to check the track list and it wasn't on there, so now I have another 5 Seconds of Summer album that I don't really listen to all that much. Yet, there are some good songs on there. So anyway, Teeth became one of my favourite tracks of 2019, and I remember when their next album came out, it's called Calm, I looked into it and I only watched a couple of their songs, like music videos, and I didn't really like them. Turns out they would only be like the 2 songs on the album I don't actually like. Lo and behold, I see a deluxe edition in Wellington that I didn't even know we had in New Zealand, and the album itself actually had Teeth on it, so I'm like, I have to get this, I have to get this. And so I did. Calm Deluxe Edition comes with 3 bonus tracks, which are different live from the vault recordings of Easier, Teeth, and No Shame. But these live from the vault, they're not just like, you know, bad live performances like you get on a lot of deluxe editions. Like, they're almost completely different recorded versions of the song. They sound unique and they sound awesome. Yeah, I gotta say, I guess I'm kind of a fan of 5 Seconds of Summer now. Sorry, babe. Songs I didn't like to start with, like Red Desert, I've come to enjoy, but I absolutely love Old Me, Easier, and Not in the Same Way. Those 3 tracks are probably my favourite, along with, of course, Teeth. That song is awesome. So yeah, I'll have to do a bit of research, find out if they're still, you know, dirtbags to their fans or that, but as for this album here, I really enjoy it, and I'm glad we actually had a deluxe edition in our country for a change. Moving on to the second of the albums, I could have gotten earlier but didn't, but whatever. Revolution Radio by Green Day. This is an album that I've wanted to get for years, but by the time I realised that actually, yeah, I do want to get this CD, I couldn't find it anywhere. Warehouse, JB Hi-Fi, Mighty 8, they just stopped selling them. And I finally found it in, I think it was JB Hi-Fi, but yeah, I really enjoy this album. I haven't listened to it as much as Father of All, which is obviously the album they released back in February, I believe. Actually, I think it was like my first Green Day album. I mean, obviously, you know, growing up in my teen years and the early 2000s, or late 2000s, I was obviously exposed to like 21 Guns, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Basket Case, American Idiot, you know, just all that stuff. But this was the album that I actually sat down and listened to one day, just out of the blue, thought, alright, a bit of pop rock, a bit of punk rock, I'll listen to this. It was my first time listening to a Green Day album from start to finish, just on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it, so I finally own it, all these years later. Nothing really else to say, another album I enjoy. Well, if I thought this video was going to be under 20 minutes, this is probably going to skyrocket it into the low 30s, but Saint Motelevision by Saint Motel. Saint Motel are a band where I came across them while trying to find music for my work USB, which, if you haven't watched a previous video, I'm in charge of the music for my workplace, and we need like pop music, just pop. They don't let me put anything exciting on there, but I like to every now and then try and find something a little more indie, a little more alternative, or something more than just, you know, what's on the radio all the time. So I came across Saint Motel and a couple of tracks of theirs, and I really liked them. One day I was sitting down and I thought, I wonder if there's any albums in New Zealand. And sure enough, this album was on clearance. There was one left in the country, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna get it. Best decision ever. That's why I do this, why I collect albums, because every now and then you get that one that's like, yes, it's a huge surprise, just blows you away, and you really just end up loving it, and that's this album for me. Saint Motel are such a fascinating band to like look into. Their discography is small but really varied at the moment. They got like EPs, it's like this one breakout hit that's like a big deal to a lot of people in the LGBT community. We've got like a debut album that's so different and interesting. I think this is their second actual studio album, because they've got like EPs, mixtapes, that sort of thing. They've got like a whole mariachi version album. It's so weird but so cool. Since getting this, I've like downloaded all their albums and I'm listening to them all the time. They're such a talented band. I was already familiar with a couple of tracks of this. Move, the opening track, is I think their biggest hit so far. Is that one and one other track that I can't remember in the moment. But since getting this, I've really come to love the track Destroyer. Track number 3, it's a really good one. It's another one of those bands that actually put effort into the CD case as well, which I always appreciate. I'm trying to think of a way to describe them for those who haven't heard them before. They're like alternate kind of pop rock. I guess everything's kind of pop rock these days, but they're a really good mixture, a fusion. And apparently the lead singer and director and everything, he's like kind of like a filmmaker and everything. He puts a lot of effort into the music videos and staging, and they've got a couple of EPs at the moment that I think are just called like the official film soundtrack or something like that. I should probably look it up, but I'm too excited. They're a really good band to look into if you like them. They use a lot of like horns and trumpets and brass instruments, but they're implemented like flawlessly, like really well, unlike say Pray for the Wicked, you know, Panic at the Disco's last album, which I'm not a fan of the way that all the brass instruments just blow your eardrums out. The only track I'm not super fond of is Born Again, just because of the themes, but it's a fantastic album and I really enjoy listening to them, and I hope I can get some more CDs of theirs in the future. Now there are 2 tracks on here, like, I know there's 2 tracks, sorry, they're B-sides that aren't on the album. And one of them I absolutely love. It's called Nobody Wants You to Somebody Wants You Dead. It's a really good track. You're nobody till somebody wants you dead. Yeah, you're nobody till somebody wants you dead. And the list, it grows and grows and grows and grows. It's so good. I recommend listening to them. I might just start linking songs in the description of the video for people that want to listen to them and they haven't heard them before. So yeah. That's another fantastic album. Wrapping things up briefly, I finally, after it released during lockdown, got a hold of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Deluxe Edition. That came with a mini soundtrack. I kid you not, I don't play as many video games as I did growing up. A lot of the time, the collector's editions I get not for like the downloadable content, but because of the physical stuff that comes with it. The art books, the statues, the albums. This is the kind of stuff I love. Even if they're just like mini versions that only have some tracks. And it's cool. Although, I guess to the detriment of this, I don't really find myself listening to it at all because for some reason they've gone with extended versions of each track. I haven't listened to it all the way because there's only 12 tracks, whereas the actual, you know, being a game soundtrack, there's like 48 songs and there's 12 on here. But instead of just going with like a condensed or just playing the track through once, because obviously in a video game it loops over and over again, like every single one is like 7 minutes long or 8 minutes long. So you'll be listening to 7 minutes of the same like 3-minute loop, and it just, yeah, it gets a bit tiring, but it's alright. I don't see myself listening to the CD all that much, but there's a couple of tracks on it that I'll definitely put on in the background to be more like just vibing, you know? Oh my goodness, this video has gone on for so long. Finally, the last album I got this year, which I don't have a physical edition because despite having numerous albums, over 10 at this point, this is the first one that he hasn't released physically. Passenger's Patchwork. Now this album isn't the album he was initially going to release, because if you don't know, Passenger releases an album every single year, and I have every single one on CD. He was originally going to release an album, we don't know what it was going to be called, but it had a couple of tracks on it like Sandstorm and The Way She Loves... Is it The Way She Loves You? She Lives... Another Passenger love song. This album is a compilation of a lot of the songs he made during lockdown, so he would sit down in front of the camera just out in nature or whatever, and just record a song, and obviously you'd have like the sound of birds in the background or wind and everything, so it wasn't like a studio recording. So what he did is he actually went and recorded them all in his little in-home studio, put together an 8-track album, and then didn't release it physically, obviously. It's a digital purchase, and I think it's like half the price of a regular album, and all the money, basically donating 100% of the profits to a food bank in the UK, I believe. So that was a really noble, really good thing of him to do. I'm looking forward to his 2021 album, because Sandstorm and, gosh, I can't remember the name of the other song, the 2 songs he released prior to, obviously, COVID, that were going to be on the 2020 album, that is now pushed back a year, I assume. You know, those are really good. And these tracks are really good. I haven't listened to it too many times just because I'm a CD person. I like listening to my CDs. But yeah, Passenger's releasing another album and you can't go wrong there. Hey, so remember back in my very first January album haul when I was talking about Coldplay's Everyday Life, I mentioned that the pre-order came with like a limited edition card from the band or something? Well, I found it inside my Passenger DVD. So that's a pretty weird coincidence that I've just found it then, but at least now I know where it is and I've got it. And if I ever forget it again, I can just watch this video and be like, oh yeah, there it is. Also, for reasons I couldn't possibly tell you, I completely forgot, I also got 5 Seconds of Summer live at Wembley Arena Blu-ray. I don't blame myself for forgetting. It was on clearance for like $5, and I thought, hey, I don't know, I like the new album, so I might as well get that, seeing as it's on clearance. Haven't watched it, don't know when I'll get a chance to, but it's something. Wow, this video is going on way too long. I thank you very much for sticking with me this far. Finally, I want to wrap this up with the new music highlights of July. I've already talked about the ones from June. The new music highlights from June, and now we're talking about the new music highlights from July. The first one I have written down in my notes is Bon Jovi, American Revolution. I feel like that came out the very start of July, and it was like very inspired by the riots and everything, but I haven't listened to it since. I mean, I clearly enjoyed it enough to write it on the list, but I don't really remember it, and that feels, I don't know, that feels bad, but I'm gonna go listen to it after recording this and probably be like, it's really good. So yeah, Bon Jovi had another track. I feel like I'm a bit over Bon Jovi at this point. Like, I always listen to their music and I always enjoy it, but they need another track like Knockout that'll just, you know, really do well. Two more of my favourite New Zealand acts. John Lemon released another track called Other Side, and yeah, it's a really good poppy dance track. His last two tracks he released, I believe it was earlier this year, there was like a really quiet, somber one called Why Are You Far Away, and I always love it when a band I like that are normally really poppy and, you know, like upbeat, like Foley, they'll release something quiet like Homesick. In this case, John Lemon released Way Far Away ages ago, and it was really cool, and I enjoyed the chill vibes. It was something you could literally just put on and, well, I sound pretentious, but like look out over the horizon and be like, yeah, music is awesome. It was a side tangent and a half, but yeah, Other Side is a really good poppy track, makes you want to get up and dance. Speaking of Foley though, they did a collaboration with Health Club, and it's called Way Too Long. Now this one, I know I've said the word vibe a lot, but this is a straight vibe. Foley have done two collaborations recently. They did Shoe Size a couple of months ago, and now they've done Way Too Long. And they're both so good. I love Foley. I wore my Foley shirt last time, if I recall. Actually, I think it was back in the March album haul. Anyway, Foley, Holloway Holiday, John Lemon, Navy. They're four of my favourite New Zealand artists. And obviously you got Josie Moon, Open Side, Dragon. Oh my gosh, there's so many good, there's so many good New Zealand artists. Speaking of good New Zealand artists, actually, I got a chance to see Androgynous Lemon as well in Wellington. They did like a free gig or something. I didn't actually get to see much of it though, because by the time it started, we were heading out, so we only got to see a couple of tracks, but that was pretty cool. And finally, on the last day of July, Bastille come in with a fantastic new song, What You Gonna Do. Bastille, oh, they are just one of my favourite bands. Like, it doesn't matter what they make, I will always find a way to enjoy it. Like, I love every one of their albums. They are always like my album of the year. Wild World, Doom Days, Bad Blood, All This Bad Blood. Even like their remix EPs and everything, their singles, their songs. It's very rare they'll release something I don't like. But I don't like them unbiasedly. There are some things of theirs that I don't like the Marshmallow collaboration, Happy. I'm not a fan of that. Their cover of Sia's Titanium, I'm not a fan of that, but this song is so good, and there's been a lot of album hype for like album number 4, which would be really quick because Doom Days was only last year. If we're looking at album number 4 already. But yeah, Bastille, they're one of those bands that are so fun to be a fan of because they're just continuously releasing music. They got heaps of like radio live edits, got heaps of remixes, heaps of collaboration efforts. I love bands like that, similar to Mumford & Sons, where you get into them, you listen to their albums, and then you realise there's like nearly 100 tracks that aren't on albums that you can enjoy. And that's going to wrap up this incredibly long album haul video, and in good timing too, because the neighbours' kids have just decided now's a good time to start throwing basketballs at our wall. That's nice. Forgive me for rambling on a bit, but in these days, I just love the opportunity to be able to talk to someone, even if it's just talking to a camera and imagining people sitting on the other side being like, yeah, music is awesome. Because it is. I love it. I love all the new bands, the new artists. Hey, my partner's walking in the door. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you to everyone that watches these videos from start to finish. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys next time. Hello.